Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Texas AEL Manager Mondays. Our topic today is developing partnerships and contextualizing curriculum for IETs, and our presenter is Delia Watley, and she is the Director of Irving ISD, Adult Education and Literacy. My name is Olga Escamilla, and I'm going to be your host, and we also have Kelly Carnline and Tracy Hendricks on with us today. Thank you for joining us. I would like to welcome our presenter. Welcome, Delia Watley. And a little bit about Delia. Delia is the Director of Adult Education in Irving ISD since 2002. She's worked in adult education for 17 years. She serves on the Taylor Executive Board. She served on the Standards Alignment to Industry Clusters team. And she also served on the Standards 2.0 Focus Group, and she was part of the Teltex Academy. So we'll be learning more about that. And her program received the Partnership of the Year Award from Workforce Solutions Trailblazer Award and the NAACP Educator of the Year Award. Welcome, Delia. And if anyone has any questions, if you'll place them in the chat box now. Otherwise, I'm going to transfer the presentation to Ms. Watley so she can get started.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Manager Monday. My name is Delia Watley, as Olga mentioned. I will be discussing partnerships and how they can help contextualize lessons in your classroom. Throughout this presentation, you'll learn how building strategic partnerships is fundamental to IETs, and you'll learn how these partnerships can help when it comes to contextualizing your lessons in the classroom. First, let me give you a little background to help you see the world through our lens. Irving ISD AEL is part of the Dallas County AEL Consortium, of which there are 7 members, which include 2 school districts, Irving ISD and Richardson ISD, 1 community center, the Wilkinson Center, 2 college programs, DCCD, Dallas County Community College District, and Richland College, a workforce partner, ResCare Workforce Services, and our lead organization and workforce board, Workforce Solutions, Greater Dallas. Irving ISD AEL exists in Irving, Texas, which is a melting pot of diversity. There are about 83 different languages in Irving, and we have one of the most diverse zip codes in the United States. According to the Irving Convention and Visitors Bureau, Irving's largest private employer is the hospitality industry. Our city exists in close proximity to both of the major airports. Many corporations are moving to our area and setting up training sites for their employees, which stimulates the need for more hotels. Also, since 1997, the total number of Hispanic business owners has increased by 82%. Irving actually houses the Study Irving Innovation Center for small businesses and entrepreneurship. This is a partnership between the City of Irving and Irving Las Colinas Chamber of Commerce. As you might have guessed, because of our large immigrant population, integrated EL civics is very much needed in Irving, Texas. And integrated EL civics includes, yes, IETs. Integrated EL civics is defined by WIOA as educational services for ELLs, but it also includes ELL professionals with degrees and credentials in their native countries. You can probably relate when I tell you that many students in our programs have more degrees than many of us teaching them. Their huge barrier is language. In the Irving ISD AEL program, the Ana Mendez University system partners with us to help those individuals who are professionals and with degrees, helps them to evaluate their credits, and they also counsel them on options available for them. Integrated EL Civics is designed to help these individuals function better as parents, workers, and citizens. We need to think about this as we design our lessons. Again, say with me, everyone. Designed to help them function better as parents, workers, and citizens. These services should include literacy and English language, rights and responsibilities, and civic participation. As I mentioned, integrated EL civic services should be in combination with Integrated Education and Training, or IETs. This means that it includes an English language or basic skills instructor and also a workforce training teacher. This can sometimes mean one person wearing both hats. Integrated education and training includes AEL activities provided concurrently and contextually, workforce preparation activities, and the workforce training components. We always say, contextualize your instruction, but I thought I would share a visual with you to help us understand what that means. It means providing your instruction in terms of the workforce training. In order to provide contextualized instruction, a couple of things need to take place. The basic skills instructor has to be familiar with the details of what is being taught in the workforce training class. It's pretty impossible to contextualize lessons around your training class if you don't know what's happening in the training. I'd suggest that the basic skills instructor and the workforce training instructor set up meetings periodically to share and collaborate. These don't have to be long, drawn-out meetings, but just a time for both instructors to be given a briefing from both perspectives in order to better collaborate on delivery of the lessons. Remember that the purpose of delivering IET services is for educational advancement or career advancement. Okay, it's time for me to throw a question out at you. What are 3 components that must be included in IET? 3 components that must be included in IET. Contextualized AEL activities, workforce preparation activities, and the specific workforce training. All activities must occur simultaneously, be of sufficient intensity, use relevant instructional materials, have a single set of objectives, function cooperatively, be aligned with the state's content standards, and be part of a career pathway. Upon completion of the IET, students will either be employable or enrolled in more advanced training. Okay, Irving ISD has 4 IETs that we currently offer based on the work demands for our area. First, there's Stalls Clothing and Textile, an opportunity for individuals to open a business at low cost that yields big dividends. 2, Field Education, Hospitality, and Tourism, for those interested in the hotel industry. Remember I mentioned that's one of the growing industries here in Irving, Texas. There are also hospitality and tourism are for folks that are interested in catering or opening restaurants or even interested in event planning. 3, Home Depot Carpentry and Home Improvement for carpenters, painters, landscapers. And finally, Irving ISD Digital Literacy for the Workplace for office managers or office aides. Because of our high population of immigrant students, all 4 of these IETs have entrepreneurship as a central theme within these classes. Through our partnership with the Irving Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, they provide resources to these students, including those who may not have socials yet, in order to educate them on the process of acquiring the ITIN number, or the EIN number to open a business and pay taxes for that business. Here, we have a couple of the students at one of Irving's newest resource centers that I mentioned earlier for entrepreneurs, the Study Innovation Center. We make sure that our upcoming entrepreneurs know all about the resources that are located in this facility. This brings us to our first IET class, the Stalls class, in which Irving ISD partners with Stalls, a heat press business that actually started as a small business in someone's garage. Stalls is responsible for furnishing custom services for the NBA and NFL. As mentioned, we also partner with the Irving Hispanic Chamber of Commerce to deliver entrepreneurship lessons, and also Lift Fund, which provides financial literacy and resources for students wanting to open their businesses. Stalls actually first trains the teacher at their warehouse located here in Irving so that the teacher can serve as both the basic skills trainer and the workforce trainer. As part of the class, students also take trips to the Stalls warehouse, where they are trained on a variety of heat press tools and machines.
Julia, did you elaborate on how one person can hold multiple roles? Did you?
Yes, if you have the classroom teacher, for the Stalls, the teacher actually participated in several days of training at the Stalls warehouse, covering the curriculum and the training modules that were going to be taught in the industry-specific training offered. So that way, the teacher on one day can serve as the classroom teacher, basic skills teacher, and then on the other day as the trainer. Another IET that Irving offers is the Fuel Education, Hospitality, and Tourism training. Partners include Fuel Education. They provide the online training platform for the students. The Irving Hotel Association, that helps us in planning job shadowing visits with local hotels. And again, the Irving Hispanic Chamber of Commerce for the entrepreneurship piece. The hotels that we partner with are Embassy Suites, the Sheraton, Omni, the Hilton Garden Inn, the DoubleTree. The list is growing. There are games like this at the end of each of the Fuel Ed online units that help to engage students in the instructor-led portion of the class. The hospitality classes also have these games periodically throughout the class, even if it's not the end of the unit. Also, in the Fuel Education, Hospitality, and Tourism training, students are able to participate in job shadowing visits to nearby hotels, as I mentioned. In this picture, you'll see some are working at the front desk. Some actually were able to ride in the shuttle to pick up folks from the airport. And then we have catering over on the far right.
Delia, there's a question about the job shadowing. How many hours is this done for the course?
They take 2 trips to the hotels per the 16-week course. And the trips are about 3 hours. Also, with our partnership with the hotels, they allow us to use their actual job applications for classroom instruction. And this particular picture, the students are learning how to complete applications, and they're learning the vocabulary that appears on these applications. Also, through the partnership, we receive job descriptions. So whenever there are job postings, they come directly to us, and we use them in the classroom and explain them to students in the classroom as well. All right, another IET that we have is a partnership with Home Depot. The Home Depot Carpentry and Home Improvement class. Partners include Home Depot for the in-store training, where students rotate in the store throughout stations. Home Depot representatives also periodically come to the classroom and conduct trainings. Another partner is RHCA, Regional Hispanic Contractors Association. They provide the OSHA training for the students. And again, the Irving Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, offering the entrepreneurship piece. Along with the store visits and the training presentations that we have, the Home Depot class utilizes the resources available to us online at the Home Depot website, such as these very helpful training videos. The basic skills instructor is able to use content from these videos to teach vocabulary and contextualize activities in the classroom. Home Depot also has the DIY videos. These are the do-it-yourself training videos. We utilize them as well. Here is a DIY video on how to choose hardwood flooring. Notice the picture in the center of the teacher, with the teacher teaching dimensions and measurements in the classroom. There's also a picture on the end where the student created a model plumbing system using supplies that we purchased for this particular training. The student actually had to create the model and then present it to fellow students in the class. So this reinforces the language. Here you'll see in the store also on the first picture, there's one of the stations. That was one of the plumbing stations, and they were learning how to install the toilet. Another helpful resource for teaching the English literacy learners is the Building Basics free curriculum offered through the Virginia Adult Learning Resource Center. I actually found out about this curriculum through one of TCAL's distribution emails. And boy, was I happy to get that email. I immediately went to the website and checked it out and started printing curriculum. Everything was accessible for us, for the class. The curriculum actually has 4 building basic topics: construction, landscaping, painting, and plumbing. The curriculum provides facilitator guides and student handouts.
There's a question by Tracy. She wanted to know,
Okay.
how did you get all the teachers to contextualize the classroom materials?
How did I get the teachers to do it?
Or did you do it? How did you contextualize all the classroom material?
And how did you get buy-in from everyone, and did you have them each sit down and contextualize, or did y'all do it as a group, or did someone do it for them? Because, I mean, I've seen your program, and it's great. Everyone was referring to contextualized materials the whole time, but how did that happen? I mean, how did you get everyone doing that?
In our staff meetings, I mean, we bring up contextualization all the time. We bring up the lesson plans all the time, and I also reserve time in our staff meetings for teachers to collaborate and start building their lesson plans. And then I also have one of our teachers who serves a dual role in making sure she checks lesson plans and she makes sure that the teachers are contextualizing in their classrooms. And but the team, I mean, they are, I guess I don't hate to say it, but they're the best team on the planet. I mean, they work together to collaborate. They help each other. They give suggestions. From time to time in the meetings, I'll tell them, hey, come to the meeting, bring your best lesson plans. Let's go over them and see what we can sort of learn from each other and use in the classrooms. And so it's really a team environment there at the Irving ISD AEL. And I don't get any pushback at all from the teachers, probably because, I mean, the culture and the climate was already set. And so when folks come into this fold, they know that they're going to work together, they're going to collaborate, we're going to attempt to make gains and achieve our goals. And they just work together as a family. I don't know if that answers you, but that's how we do it at the Irving ISD. Okay, but these are some, now what I did initially, you know, I was the one who found the curriculum and just heard about it through TCAL. TCAL is actually the ones who found it for us. And so I printed it, shared it with the folks with great excitement. So they were excited to receive it. Anything to help them, because a lot of our teachers are part-time, so they have other jobs. So anything to make their life easy, oh, they were definitely very receptive. Okay, as I mentioned, another one of our partners with Home Depot is RHCA, the Regional Hispanic Contractors Association. They provide the OSHA trainings for us. And as I mentioned, I don't know if I did or not, but this was a free training, as are most of the resources that I've shown you thus far. Here we had the 2-hour fall protection training. They actually offered 2 nights of this training free of charge for us. And after the 2 hours, students received the OSHA certificates. Here you'll see accident prevention, OSHA requirements, personal fall arrest systems, employee responsibilities, and training requirements. Are there any other questions?
Okay, we have a question. You count the OSHA training as training hours?
Yes.
And how many hours is that?
2 hours.
It's 2 hours.
It's
Okay.
a 2-hour training.
What certification do they receive upon completing the Home Depot class?
Home Depot actually provides a certificate to the students. After the training, the managers, we have a ceremony there, and the manager presents the Home Depot Hospitality and Tourism Certificate.
Very good. Any other questions? Those are
Okay. Our last IET.
one more, Delia. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
Before we, is that certification nationally?
It is not nationally accredited. It is a local certificate from Home Depot and RHCA.
But once they have that certificate, they can use that to gain
Absolutely.
employment?
They can use it, for example, before we partnered with Home Depot, I actually set up a meeting with our construction department there in the Irving ISD and asked them what type things that they were looking for if they were to hire someone there in our department for plumbing or painting. And they told me all of the things that they were looking for. I went and met the store manager there at Home Depot and discussed with him the things that folks were looking for in hiring plumbers and construction. And so we created the curriculum together, and I then shared it again with the department, with our facilities department, and asked them, with this certificate, if they went through all of this through our program, would this guarantee them an interview, a job opportunity? And they said absolutely.
Okay, and then we have another question. Thank you for that. The other question is, what certification from the Stalls IET? So what certification do they get, or what type of certificate do they get from Stalls?
The Stalls Entrepreneurship Certificate, and so they will receive a certificate from Stalls as well.
So the Stalls training is part of the entrepreneurship class. And
correct.
Did you mention how your participants develop their own business through the Stalls program?
Correct. We have two students, and I think it was on a few slides back when we were at the Study Innovation Center. Those two students actually completed the class, and they met with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and Lift Fund, and were able to purchase at a low cost because Stalls gives almost a 50% discount on the machines for students completing the class if they want to start their own business. They don't have to, or they can start a business in a totally different industry or what have you. But if they choose, Lift Fund and the Chamber works with them to start their business. If they need small loans or whatever, they can get that from Lift Fund. But I tell all the students, because the price is so inexpensive, that we have 16 weeks in the class. If you save $25 a week, you'd be able to purchase the machine if you wanted to at the end of the program. And so two of our students, Maribel and Alpha, at the end of the class, actually already purchased a machine. They've set up their business. I took them over to the the Innovation Center, and while they were there at the study, a man approached them and asked them, hey, can you do 1,000 T-shirts he was having a golfing tournament. And, just right off the bat, asked them if they could create 1,000 T-shirts for them. So like I said, this particular industry was an industry that we thought would yield big dividends for the student, but it was something that they could start at a very low cost investment and that they could do in their homes.
That's great. There is another question. It's from Marsha Ellis, and she says, how did you set up the partnership with Home Depot? Was there specific information sent to them in a letter?
No, it was just a knock on the door, and I walked over to the store, and I didn't walk over to the store. I drove to the store and I asked to speak to the manager, and I had all the information from my discussion with the facilities department there at Irving ISD on the components that I wanted to include. And I just asked them, how would you like to partner with Irving ISD Adult Education and Literacy? Because I know that a lot of businesses, especially large businesses, have outreach departments, and and they want to partner with the community. And so certainly they want to partner with Irving ISD AEL because they provide a platform for those folks that are looking for carpenters. That's a growing demand here in Irving, Texas, I'm sure, as well as other places. And so they have a lot of folks coming in looking for employees. In fact, right outside the Home Depot, there are folks looking for trying to grab employees. And so I talked to the manager, and he was just very excited about the possibility of partnering with Irving ISD AEL. And that's pretty much how it started.
Okay, so the question is corporate or an individual Home Depot?
Individual. Yeah, and everybody has a Home Depot in their area. I would say they have a Lowe's, but our Lowe's actually closed down, so I'm glad I chose the Home Depot for this. But yeah, everybody probably has a Home Depot, and and if you can go to Home Depot and you say, hey, in Irving, that Home Depot store, they actually partner with the Adult Education and Literacy Program, and we were just coming over here to see if we can partner with you. And for the most part, they don't want to be outdone. So they would definitely give you a listening ear.
Okay, I think that's all the questions, unless anybody has any additional questions. One more. Did your grant pay for any of the training costs with Stalls or Home Depot?
No.
The businesses were willing to provide them?
Yes. That's one of they'll tell you, that's one of my things here at Irving ISD AEL. I'm always looking for free resources. And like I said, these companies and the corporations, whatever, they have teams and departments that are out there to partner with the community. Stalls, very serious about partnering with the community. If you go onto their website, you'll probably be able to search and find Irving ISD all over their website and the partnership that we have with them. And then with Home Depot, they want to be also, they're the Home Depot of our community. Irving, a small community, and we know everyone knows everyone who's someone, I'll say, city council and everything. So Home Depot definitely is looking for an opportunity to get their name out and to partner with us. And whenever we go and we, for site visits and to rotate throughout the stations, they're so welcoming. They're so excited. We had a landscaping activity there where the students were learning landscaping. Everyone left with a potted plant free, a potted flower to start their summer off. That Home Depot gave them. I didn't ask for it. They just gave it to them. So, unless you ask, you won't know. And I believe if you ask, folks will be more receptive than maybe you think when you think about how you can partner and what it is that your students need and what your programs need and what out there in the community exists that you can tap into.
Very good. Thank you, Delia. And I think that the free partnerships, the free helps with your cost per student, doesn't it, Delia?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So this helps me. A lot of the time is in the planning. And so, I spend a lot of time planning, but I also want to give my teachers time to plan in order for the classroom to be successful and engaging, to keep these students, because we have to keep them, for a long period of time in order for them to receive a certificate. And so if I can use my costs in teacher resources, helping them to be great and helping them to lead more engaging lessons and to include activities in the lessons. For the Home Depot, that left money for us to purchase things for the students to create models in the classroom. And so that's why they were able to create their model plumbing system. We were able to purchase paint and things for them to do activities in the classroom. But yes, free definitely helps us with the cost per student. So our last IET, Irving ISD Digital Literacy for the Workplace. This is a partnership with, and again, I'm looking around for free. And so we have our own technology department there in the Irving ISD with professionals, certified folks. And I went to our Chief of Technology and Innovation and asked him, because we had a lot of folks that were in our ESL classes that were not applying for jobs, office jobs, even though they wanted to apply for office jobs and aides, because they didn't have the English skills, but also because they didn't have the technology skills. And so I asked the Chief of Technology and Innovation if he would allow some of his professionals to come to our class and train our students as part of the Digital Literacy for the Workplace IET. And I was surprised when he said yes, and actually sent an email the same day to various departments telling them that I would be contacting them and make sure that they place us on their schedules. So that was a great partnership, and that was probably my most surprising partnership because I know a lot of work is done in the Irving ISD for those technology folks, and I thought that I might have some pushback, but he was very helpful. He said, hey, I think that's wonderful. We're all about serving the community, and this is a community program within the Irving ISD, and so he was very excited about it. Here we have a scope and sequence of what activities take place in the classroom. We have the technology department that comes out. Irving Cares, which is a community organization, comes out and helps with the job search process for these folks because they are wanting to get jobs. One of the department heads came to me and said, I think this is a great thing. We need to hire more folks. And so they were excited that we were having this IET, as is other companies that are in the Irving School District community. They're excited because they want folks, and these folks, once they learn English, they're going to be serving as bilingual folks in your front offices with great technology skills. Here's a picture of one of the digital literacy classes. Over to the right, you actually see our Chief Technology and Innovation Officer. I don't know who was more proud, the student in the middle or the Chief Officer there. But so he's very excited and happy about the partnership that we created. Okay, I wanted to talk a little bit about the lesson plan component. As I mentioned, a lot of our teachers are part-time. In fact, most of the teachers were part-time. And so they don't have a lot of time. They have their other jobs. And so to help them, I created this user-friendly lesson plan that includes all of the components of the IETs. And it's there to help as a reminder to the teachers, hey, make sure that your lessons include the following. And as you can see, there's the civics component here, the workforce prep content, the basic English skills content, and then also we list a note at the bottom so that they know what the training component for the week is.
Delia, there is a question.
Okay.
Did the IT team help with creating the scope and sequence and lessons?
They did. They actually shared. I used, and I'm not sure I can't remember the name of it, but the library, remember the libraries came out with a resource for digital literacy.
That might be on the TCAL website. Let me double check.
I think it is. And so I used that. When I met with the chief officer and showed him what existed there. And then he included anything that he thought needed to be included. But he actually thought that was a wonderful curriculum. And said, hey, all of our folks here have mastered all of that. And so, we don't mind delivering that instruction. But he also made suggestions as well. And but I do believe that is, there was a training that I went to, and they said free, and it was the curriculum already done, handouts and everything. And so I used that when I met with him and asked him what he thought about it.
Delia, I want to say thank you so much for talking about and mentioning the different resources because, we have a lot of new people and a lot of people who don't realize that these are there. But, Delia is doing a lot of plugs for TCAL, and we really appreciate that because we could see that Delia really uses the information that we send out as resources. So thank you for that. And Marsha Ellis says thank you.
Okay, and we have the civics education. We actually partner with Mercury One Museum They're a museum that opened up in Irving, North Irving. And we partner with them on some of the resources for our civics classes, along with iCivics, the website that we go to. But we partner with Mercury One Museum. They give us information that we can use in the classroom with the teachers. And here, there's a picture where they actually came and brought a lot of their artifacts to our location remotely, and we had an on-site museum. And when I say that was a huge, huge event, we opened it up to everyone because that was an opportunity. I mean, they were bringing things from Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, artifacts from way back. And so this was an opportunity for our students to actually really engage with history. And so we were able to, we asked the superintendent and their administrators, because we had to have a site big enough for them to bring all of these items. And they were excited about it. We had a huge cafeteria that they opened up, and you see the ropes. They have security because these artifacts are probably millions of dollars that they bought over. But we had that particular night probably about 600 folks going through looking at all of the artifacts that they bought over for us. And you see they even had a booth for photos. Okay, as far as the workforce preparation activities, here I have a list that I give the teachers on what workforce preparation activities look like and how you need to make sure that they're included in your lessons. This one was predominantly for the digital literacy class because we were talking about office, if you're getting folks ready to work in offices and as office managers or front desk receptionists. Here you have greet coworkers and clients, understand policies, request work schedule changes, proper work etiquette, understanding and following procedures, small talk with the supervisor. I've talked to some of the employers in the past and asked, what is it that you'd like us to teach students and your employees? And they would say, hey, if you can just teach them how to give us a simple greeting in English. And so we talk about small talk with your supervisor and staff and clients, how to report problems, how to take messages, and speaking and talking on the telephone. Here we set up, as I said, many of the services that I've shared with you are free. We set up collaborative agreements with these folks where they talk about what they're going to do for us. And again, these are volunteer folks, but we have some great volunteer partners because everything that they do, we're not paying them, but they're doing it just because they want to get their name out in the community as a partner for education. Here, the Urban Hispanic Chamber of Commerce actually came out and provided a Dress for Success for the students. And so here is the president of the chamber teaching the students on dress for interviews and how to land the job and how to address appropriately in the office. We partnered with McKesson, and McKesson is a huge corporation here in North Irving. They actually had a women's clothing drive. They're a women's group there at the company. And they collected suits and business attires, dresses, skirts, male suits for about 2 weeks and donated all of the items to us for Mary Ann. So the students not only got to hear about what to do and what not to do, but they actually left with several outfits to help them land the job. All right. Well, is there another question?
We do have another question. It is from Karis Jackson, and Karis says, can I get a copy of the last slide,
Go back.
the small talk?
Oh, sure. In fact, my contact information is on the last page, and if you email me, I'll email it to you. Okay?
Perfect. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
Okay. What are some of the lesson plan components discussed for IET classes?
Give them time, Delia. Come on,
All right.
everybody.
All right. Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
All right. So we have the AEL content standards, and now we have the 2.0 industry specific. And those standards are definitely a great complement to this. Civics objective, the language objective. Students will read, write, listen, and speak. We learn to be specific, and I'm sure you'll hear more about this in the TELTEX, when TELTEX comes out with its training modules in your lesson plans. Also, the workforce prep objective for employability skills. And then also we like to put on the lesson plan the industry training weekly component. All right, there's my contact. If you email me, I will email you anything that you saw in the presentation to help you. Or if you have any questions for me, feel free to ask, and I'll definitely answer or do my best to answer your question.
Thank you so much, Delia. Great information, everybody. We might want to take advantage of Delia's expertise while she is on, while we have her captured in this webinar. But again, Delia, thank you so much for sharing all this information. It's great. It gives other programs ideas about what they could potentially do in their areas. So we thank you very much for sharing, and we thank everybody for attending. Does anybody have any questions while we're on? We have about 7 minutes, but we'll be glad to take any questions. Michelle says good resources, and be sure that you copy, if you want some of these resources that we mentioned that I pasted the link for in the chat box, if you will copy those right now before we close the room, those links to the different resources that Delia mentioned. Marcia, if you will email Miss Watley, she could probably do that for you. Delia, she's asking for a copy of all the slides, and we cannot provide them.
Okay.
We can't provide them because we cannot send them out because they haven't gone through the accessibility process.
I will definitely do that.
Everyone, y'all need to email Delia, and she will respond to you if you email Delia, because we can't do it.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you all. Delia?
I hope this was helpful for you. I enjoyed putting it together for you. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me, and I will definitely take the time out to answer your question or send you anything that you would like to have.